Yeah, it's his birthday today. Happy birthday to Scotty Moe, the loan officer extraordinaire who does not look a day above 30. He's got his boyish looks.
Wow.
He still gets carded, I believe.
Singing a song, like the level of what it takes to embarrass me, much higher.
I would imagine. When is the last time? In fact, we should put the cameras on. I'm going to ask him this question. When is the last time you truly were embarrassed?
I don't know. I'm more embarrassed by genuine compliments than I am by normal life.
Awkward stuff.
Yeah.
So he's saying that we're not being
compliments.
We're not being genuine right now. It could be.
No. I don't think that's what he's saying. I think he's saying is he doesn't know how to handle a compliment. I think that's what he's saying.
We're all like that. We don't like to.
A lot of people are. Yeah. J-Dubs, where in your hands, my friend?
Quiet on the set.
Guys, welcome to Real Talk with Keith Smith. My name is Jerry Miller. It's good to be with you on a Wednesday morning. A show presented today by Ross Mortgage and, more importantly, our friend Scott Morris, who is 44 years young today. We're going to spend a little time embarrassing one of our good buddies and a guy that can help you get to the finish line when it comes to financing a house or an investment property or refinancing a house or an investment property. This show presented by Ross Mortgage. Think Ross Mortgage when trying to buy a house. Keith Smith of Yes Realty Partners, Jerry Miller, live across every social media platform. Keith Smith will welcome you. And I'm going to follow your lead. You've known this man since he was a wee tyke. What, knee high, waist high?
I'm still probably qualify as knee high. There's that. But I would say I've probably...
So much for me starting off. He went right in.
Probably since I was 12 or 14, thereabouts. Yeah.
Keith Smith has known Scott Moore since he was 12 or 14 years old. That's awesome. I love that. And now they do business together.
Yeah. Well, we used to do business together. Well, hold it. No, maybe not.
I used to collect a check.
Yeah. Scott used to work for Keith's construction company, his custom home building company. And Keith often jokes the best thing and only thing that Scott did well was demolition.
So there would have been nights where we would go out, and I think one night I actually crashed in the upstairs of Jerry Miller's house on 14th Street, right there where up from Orbitz or there. I can't remember exactly.
This is when I was in college.
That was close.
Scott was a little bit older than me.
And
who did you know in that house?
Bullock.
Oh, that's right. He's Bullock. That's right.
And,
great guy.
Yeah, he was at the comm school at the time.
Yeah.
And we'd go out thinking it was going to rain the next day, dressed up, looking good, baby, and then show up to swing a hammer in button downs and khaki pants and living our best life because it wouldn't rain like we thought it was going to. Damn you, weatherman.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And you actually thought you worked.
I mean, we did some legitimate work.
Yeah, you actually
10% of the time.
We joke around about it all the time, but you guys are really, really good. I would get a little frustrated from time to time, but you guys did really good. So it's
but from I tell you what, from 9:30 to 11:30 when we went to lunch, we really put it in. We got it done.
Yeah, if that wasn't so true, it wouldn't be so funny. Now I wonder why I lost all. No,
Tom and I talk all the time about how we would have fired us many times over. So thank you.
So do you know the only reason that didn't happen, right?
Because your family.
Yeah.
And Lenny.
Yeah. Pops. Oh yeah.
Pop. My father would not allow that to happen. So 44. What does it feel like to be 44? I think I was
going to ask the same question.
I was 44 once.
I don't know. Not significantly different than yesterday. But my kids sang me happy birthday this morning. It was really, really, really nice, and I'll hang out with them this evening and just.
So your 24-year-old self would ever picture your 44-year-old self? When you were 24, you think
That guy had running bets that this guy wouldn't be around. At this
Yeah, same with me. Absolutely.
you see
Absolutely.
24 in the Corps, right?
I just got another Marine Corps. I was in the Guard at the time. I think I'd probably I would have just come back from Cuba.
So the other second thing about you today, one is your birthday, and you came second in the company in sales. You just got an award.
Yeah.
Right? You were not with us
I
last
got
week.
a, I
Talk
got
about that.
a diamond producer.
Congratulations.
Ross Mortgage. Yeah, you did
And what
great last year.
six-figure check did that come with extra?
It didn't. That's a big attaboy. Although they're taking us on a trip later in the year.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I took the team
The
out.
whole company, you were number 2.
Yeah,
That's
That's
pretty awesome. man.
significant.
and
In the entire company of Ross Mortgage, Scott Morris's team was second in production.
in units and production.
So-
That's legit.
But put that in perspective, how many different states Ross Mortgage is in?
I think we're in 24 states at the
Okay.
moment.
So last time
I mean,
checked,
Scott, that's a big deal. Look how humble this guy is with something like that.
I'm pretty sure that's about half the number of states in the United States. I'm pretty sure that's
50,
about half.
Roughly 50-50.
So you're number 2, half in the country.
All right, and he's an extremely competitive guy. You got LOs watching the program now. What would you do? What are you going to do to get to be number 1? What do you want to see from the Scott Morris team here?
So probably a greater focus on some social media push. It's something that I coach to other people that they should be doing, and I do a good job of it when I'm doing it consistently. Just getting better with being more relational and less selly. And I think that goes to every agent that I talk to, everyone. People want to know more about you, not more about the house that you've got blasting on the market. And we push a lot of properties for our agents that we partner with, and that is a big part of it. But people grow to know you through how they view you on social media, and it's a free platform. So becoming better at that, taking advantage of some ways to use ChatGPT in delivering better messages when you are if you have a hard time with knowing what to say or coming up what to say. So not just with me, but with the team, helping develop the loan officers underneath me, and getting them to be better at delivering messages and growing their business is a big part of what I feel and what I like to do.
Okay, that's the first sizzle reel right there. Let's mark that down. I got to follow up for potentially the second sizzle reel. ChatGPT. How is ChatGPT going to be part of the loan officer process or experience moving forward? ChatGPT in the news, I think it's just a phrase that people know is just a catch can for AI.
Yeah.
But the possibilities of ChatGPT are significantly endless and also somewhat frightening. How are you going to utilize ChatGPT with your business?
So I think in the long term, it's going to be building better bots for better communication when it comes to cold leads and conversion. And the number one thing is speed to lead and then generating some sort of genuine conversation. So I talk to people if they participate in some sort of cold lead system, in not going, okay, can I have an application? Here's a loan officer. Let's go see this house. A lot of it is a softer opening with more open-ended questions, such as, so are you just thinking of moving to the area? What about Charlottesville do you like so much? Being communicative in a way that you would want people to be communicative with you, not just slapping the sell button on everything. So as that progresses, and having a learned AI system that can respond back to people in a better way is going to be a better collection of data and be a better way to get people moving in the process.
There you go. That's content right there. That's legit right there. I'm curious to see how you roll that out. I'm also trying to figure out how to roll ChatGPT and the value proposition that comes with that into my businesses, because I think we're at this frontier and it's still unknown, but the early adapters are going to get market share, and the early adapters are going to have efficiencies that are going to help them get market share.
And the same thing exists with social. And we're years into that, and there's people who do it very, very well, and the people who do it very, very well come across more human than the people who come across more plastic.
100% agree with that. 100% agree with that. Keith Smith.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I was working on numbers today, and I'm not so sure this is a good tie-in, but I was taking a look at all the jurisdictions on volume of sales, right? And what does this year look like to the previous years, right? So we're kind of in a 2015 and 16 volume, and back to this AI thing, how it's going to, I think, is going to impact what we're doing here. We're going to probably lose about 30% real estate agents, because I took a look in 2015, we were about 1.25 million agents, and we're roughly 300,000 more units now. But, you know, if to this AI thing, I think it's going to be a great thing, like social media, to help get clients educated, but ultimately it's going to require FaceTime. To make a deal happen in 2015, when you had 70 days on market, 60 days on market, is very different than it is today. So I don't know. You know, I might take a contradictory position on it. I'm not so sure AI is going to be all that impactful in the real estate world. I'm probably wrong. I just don't feel like.
I think where Scott's talking about where it could be impactful is just making business more efficient. He's talking about steps becoming potentially more efficient, which could create more free time for what you're talking about, which is human connection.
Yeah, and maybe
Isn't that what you're talking about?
That's a better way of
So
saying it.
it's very entry point. This is always going to be, and the reason that the fintech, the financial technologies, and all these things won't put us out of business is because there's a level of complexity to dealing with each individual and their snowflake problem.
Yeah, this is nuanced.
And when you have somebody who's selling a business who you can't get P&L items from, the AI isn't going to go, well, maybe we should get them from their accountant instead, and help unburden them with that. And there's really a nuance to every individual. I know that there are certain people that I don't work as well with because of probably how curt I am at times. However, at the same time, there's a huge part of the population who appreciates that, and I have people tell me all the time, gosh, thank you for not just
being direct.
Telling me whatever it is okay, and telling me this is what you need to do in order to get to where you want to be. And, you know, I don't know, AI can't do that.
So back on that end of it.
A lot of birthday wishes for Scott. Nicholas Erpy, Jamie Turner, Bill McChesney, all wishing Scotty Moe a happy birthday. Jonathan in Crozet wishing Scotty Moe a happy birthday. Grayson, North Downtown's Grayson, Scotty Moe, happy birthday. He's 44 years old. John Blair, LinkedIn, wishing Scotty Moe a happy birthday. This is what we talked about yesterday. It resonated with a lot of viewers and listeners, and we're going to talk potentially more about it today with an attorney on the I Love CVille show who does a lot of business closings. His specialty with law is on the forefront of business. So this is the type of guy that is like, you know, with me, with advertising, where I'm interacting with a lot of business owners. Mm-hmm. He's doing the same, but from a legal standpoint. So we're just going to spitball what it's like on Main Street business-wise. We talked this stat yesterday. There were 688 homes sold in Q1 of 2023, which is a 23% drop in home sales versus Q1 of last year. Basically, $86 million less of sales volume, quarter over quarter, year over year. And if you look in the building permits pipeline through the first 2 months of the year, there's 202. Historically, 202 is a lot for this area, but let's cut to the chase. 202 is not going to make a huge impact here from a building permit standpoint. So here's the question I throw to Scott, and as Judah marks the time here, how do you characterize what's happening now? How do you characterize this real estate ecosystem in Central Virginia currently?
So there's a tightening, and there's a ton of what I call dead inventory, and that's people who were in low wage, low salary positions who qualified for mortgages at sub 4%, who now cannot take the existing credit card debt that they've grown post-pandemic, along with any student loans or just the life that they, you know, have become accustomed to existing in, and then sell that house, pay those debts, and qualify at a house that is equal or better than what they're in. They would be downgrading or transitioning to something probably further away in location for the same type of property. And then on top of that, there's you've got a number of people who just aren't ready to make the move because there's not enough inventory to support that. So what you're truly seeing is people who are moving for death, divorce, job, and retirement. And that is the inventory that we're focused on, people coming in for jobs, and there's more people coming in for jobs as job growth exists, so that's why we're continuing to see an appreciation in value. And you're going to see a number, and I think Keith and I talked about this off camera and before the show, you're going to see a change in the number of professionals in the industry, and you're going to continue to see a very competitive environment no matter what the interest rate level remains at for the rest of the year. Although the big mortgage world pros say fourth quarter is going to be the biggest quarter of the year, and to that I say, let's go, baby.
That was the best sizzle reel he's ever done. Can you cut that? I want to play that on the I Love Siegel show. My question into his answer right there, the most succinct sizzle reel he's done. I 100% agree with what he just said there.
Absolutely, but I want to ask a specific question because Jerry asked me this question on Monday and I didn't have an answer.
The demand is demand based on life issues.
Well, that's actually
Death,
not
divorce.
Yeah,
I mean that's what it is.
I get that, but I'm actually
I love it, Scott.
I'm breaking this down to our particular market. So the only location, Fluvanna, Nelson, Greene, Charlottesville, Albemarle, Augusta, and Waynesboro, the only location that had more sales year over year is Lake Monticello. Lake Monticello is up roughly 20 units per sale. Every other jurisdiction is down, like Jerry said, 20%, so forth and so on. And Jerry asked me that question on Monday, and I've been racking my brain and looking at it on the why. Why is Lake Monticello more, in your opinion, more units sold than everything else?
Because Lake Monticello has had the most explosive amount of equitable growth than any other area in the Tri-County or Quad County
Yeah, it's way more than
area,
that, yeah.
what you want to call it.
You're talking Central Virginia.
Central Virginia.
What's equitable growth?
So that means that the guy who went in and bought a house 5 years ago at $180,000 now has a $320,000 to $330,000 home.
Okay.
Exact numbers, in 2015, it was 180. It's now 345.
I would
Look at the big brain on Brad, baby.
44.
That's a Pulp Fiction
I
reference.
know. I got it. 44-year-old birthday. He's bringing the passion today. I would challenge the equitable return at Lake Monticello, the percentage and the stacks of paper earned, and I would stack it up with Glenmore. I would love to see Glenmore's equitable return over the last 3 years.
Well, I mean, this is all about Scott's awesome day.
You're talking 40% returns in 3 years in that neighborhood.
I would not disagree with that.
Because it had a similar stigma to Lake Monticello, but a different price point.
On all the homes, or
gentlemen.
in the old unit, the older
ones
the older ones had
So
the biggest
gentlemen,
amount of
Yeah,
growth.
it's the same thing that happened at Lake Monticello, where there was this like dull or this lag at Lake, where the homes wouldn't sell and you couldn't give it away. Same at Glenmore, but just a different price point. And then both neighborhoods caught fire because of COVID, because people needed stuff to do outside. They needed walking trails and pools and golf courses.
So
and
I need
tennis,
to correct
which
both of
Lake
you.
had it.
I need to jump in here.
Please.
I'm talking volume of sales, not sales price. Sales price have gone up in every jurisdiction.
But the reason that I'm saying that
I'm talking about the number of sales.
You're talking units sold. He's talking about appreciation.
Yeah.
But he's
but
about
I'm
to
saying
tie
that the
appreciation to
reason
units
that the
sold.
appreciation there is so great is because you've got people who had that at the time who literally can afford to
Yes.
to take more, who these are income earners who so someone who bought a $450,000 house that's now a $600,000 house, and what their cash flow for each month looks like, that $150,000, especially after fees, does not go the same, does not do the same amount of, it doesn't have the same amount of effect as the person who had the $180,000 house. It's now the $340,000 house, where what they receive after fees, that can be life-changing to those
according
people.
to NAR, 70 some odd
This is a good
percent,
topic.
70 something percent of people have at least $100,000 worth of equity in their home. About 30% have over 300,000. This is
And
nation's
I'm
thing.
saying that those are people who are income earners of at or below $88,000.
Well,
and I'm saying that the people
we're
who
saying
are
that's exactly what's happening.
in the $400,000 home from 5 years ago that's now worth $650, they're 140,000 household income earners.
So to
And
put
that
it in-
those people's bills, that $150,000 that they've amassed versus the $180,000 that these people have amassed in equity, that $180,000 goes further for them in a transition to a new property than the $150,000.
And taking a step up by 1,000%
Because the person
agree
who
with
is
that.
in the $400,000 house now has to go figure out how they can afford a $650,000, $700,000
an
house
example-
that's comparable to what they were already in, where this person could essentially, if they're already in a rural environment, they could stay kind of in the same radius, and they could stay in that $300 range. They could buy below where their current value is and still be in something similar and take the cash off the table. The other person can't.
You took the smart meds today. This dude's on point. That's exactly what it is.
I am not a smart man.
You took the smart
You
medication
just break
today.
it down a little bit easier.
That was a great breakdown there.
Greene County, same thing, 195 in 15, 373 in 2013. Even in Charlottesville, 15 was 275, now it's 485. To your point, that's a huge jump. If you want to buy something in the city of Charlottesville, single family detached, you're
Forget about it.
forget about it. But Lake Monticello's getting to 3-something. That's getting close to forget about it. But yeah, you 100%.
I mean, you take it a step up, the next step up, and McChesney's asking if there's any buildable lots left inside Lake Monticello. Keith would know that answer.
Very
few.
very minimal.
Both of them aren't the nicest lots.
Yeah, well, that's usually what happens. The dogs get saved for the last and all that stuff. So technically, there's 4,500 lots. There's roughly 4,300 and change homes. So let's call it 100 to 150. And I would suspect about 50% of what's left over is unbuilt. Well, you can build on anything, Bill. It's just a matter of how much money you're willing to spend to do it. But you probably got somewhere between 50 and 75 lots left at Lake Monticello. But I thank you for your take on it.
Vanessa Parkle just said that was a fantastic take on it, and literally said Scott just made a very clear and great case why folks are staying in their homes. That was the most succinct case I've heard. Explanation of why folks are staying in their homes. I mean, it was fantastic. More happy birthday wishes from Spencer on the program for Scotty Moe. It's his birthday. If you have questions, please put them in the feed. We'll relay them live on air. Folks are asking for you to do the same extrapolations on the next couple levels of the price point totem pole.
On the fly? All right. A little sip of coffee. It depends on but the neighborhood matters too.
That's exactly right.
So that's where this all right, it's kind of
That's
like
the point I'm trying to make here.
and I say so let's say everybody in Glenmore wants to move to Farmington, because for an ego point, I think a lot of them do. And
There's a lot
but
of
the
people
people
watching
who
that
are
live
in
Glenmore.
Farmington aren't putting those homes up for sale.
Yeah, those never go for
So
sale.
where are they going to go?
That's true.
Where's your next neighborhood? Where's your next step up? That's why that price point gets so much more sticky. That's a very short answer there, but when you look at if you want to be in the neighborhood environment, you can go out, they can sell those homes and build a custom home on land outside of that, but then they have to travel to the club. Then they've got to,
You lose the neighborhood feel.
You lose the neighborhood
Yeah.
feel. Your
Especially
kid
with
can't
young
get in a
kids.
golf cart and
There you
ride
go.
up to the pool.
Sidewalks, all that stuff.
So that's already a challenging environment. So when you get into those price points in those highly sought out neighborhoods, it's difficult to move that feel from one place to the other, and not just the feel. What do we all love? Why do we get our oil changed the same place? Why do we go do all these service driven? Why do we stop at the same Chick-fil-A when we know the line's a pain in the ass? Why do we do all these things? Because it's easy for us, and we want easy. And the more difficult you make these moves, even to get what you want out of a home, if you've taken all the easy things, if you've made the rest of your life harder to do it, you're not going to do it.
I think my good buddy and fellow squash player Andrew Hardy, watching the program of a fantastic brokerage. Andrew, jump in and offer some perspective on what we're talking about. You're absolutely on point. I want to relay some comments here from Jamie Turner, who's watching the feed. He says Google Bard is Google's version that is connected to live internet and other Google applications, where ChatGPT is limited to their 2021 trading data. Both tools are very powerful nonetheless. And he's also offering you some suggestions of what to do today in Culpeper. He says, happy birthday, Scott. Rep the pep, baby. Got to start the night at It's About Time, and then hit Brick City. New pier for a little nightcap.
Brick City. Where's Brick City?
Brick City, New Pier. Is that what he said right here? You know, I don't know Culpeper that well. Scott Morris is 44 today. We're offering him some nightcap and night activities to do.
I can get down with
That's
that.
from Jamie Turner.
So where the pier was, and I don't think that's it, because there's supposed to be some like more high-end Tex-Mexy like taco place going down there soon. Supposedly, they're like a chain out of Northern Virginia. It's like a local chain.
This comment's come in specifically for Keith from Jennifer. She says, why does he think a third of the agents won't be here if this continues?
That's a great question, and I've got your Glenmore numbers here when you're ready, and they're actually going to be a bit shocking to you.
Brick City is a new restaurant that has the same vibes as the pier. He's being facetious.
I got you.
Facetious, gotcha.
Because if you were not in the business in 2015 or 16, when the volume was last at this type of volume, you don't have this, you just haven't been through the process of knowing how to do it. So the agents that have come in during COVID, so all these agents I think that have come in lately, you know, they're going to have to go through a pretty tremendous learning curve and learn how to do business. Now, you know, we're helping, Scott's helping, everybody in the team in the food chain here is helping, but some people are just gonna, you know, all of a sudden they're gonna go from making a lot of money to not. And oh, by the way, it costs you about $5,000 a year just to hang your license. I think you're just gonna see people migrating out. It's what happens, ebbs and flows. But back on Glenmore, no new construction. I pulled that out on purpose.
I think you probably should.
Yeah, 18 sales year to date in 23, 3 days on market, 938. Same time frame in 2022 was 13 sales. So you've got more sales this year than you had last year. 5 days on market, so a little bit longer, but it's a bit of a price drop, 949. But back in 2018,
That I would love to see this number.
The
2018 versus 2023.
yes,
Yeah.
you ready for this?
Yeah, dude, I think it's like 30-40% appreciation.
So on appreciation, it goes from 569 to 938.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, dude.
But you know how many days on market it was?
In 2018, dude, the homes I bought.
190 days.
I bought our house in March of 2020. You don't want to hear this. I've said it before. Unrepresented.
Yeah.
And they were.
It's allowed.
They were begging me to walk the property, begging us to come back to walk the property. They couldn't give the homes away. The homes were sitting in this neighborhood for like 8-10 months, a year plus. That was
70
normal
March of
DOM.
2020?
So-
What's that?
In March of 2020?
Yeah. And this was when people thought the world, in March of 2020, they thought the world was going to come in.
Yeah.
We had to go into this home
73 days.
with latex gloves on.
Yeah.
I
Latex
remember.
gloves on, mask. Like literally, we thought the world was coming to an end at that time.
So your median sales price in 2020 was 635, 73 days on market, 20 units sold, which you were one of them.
Yeah.
One of them.
And now the median in Glenmore is what?
938.
It's absurd. And they're selling in 3
You had a little bit of a
days.
drop, not much, but just a little bit of drop
Yeah,
year over
from
year.
945 to 938.
Correct.
And that's the interest rate environment, probably influencing that. But
Right.
the DOM at
But
the
you had more sales though.
fair. The DOM at that price point is 3 days at 938. That puts things in perspective. And I don't even think this.
So that's what I was looking at. So I think two things.
I don't even think 938 is a luxury anymore. The homes that are selling
Oh,
at
yeah.
938, and I live here, the
These-
homes that are selling at 938 need love.
Yeah, yeah.
They need love. I'm talking like 100 G plus of love.
Yeah, that's median. If you take a look at the average, the numbers are kind of all over.
We're talking people are putting $250,000 in after
but
buying.
back to the question about why agents are going to get out, right? 2018 in Glenmore, 2018, that's only 5 years ago. You were 189 point something. You were 190 days on the market. That takes a different set of skills.
For sure.
To navigate.
Cash flow management.
No, just as agents to navigate the seller and the process. 190 versus 3. 3 it's not difficult, right, to do that. So the skill sets that are going to be required are just going to have to be ramped up, and we're slowly getting in there. But that's just a huge jump. I did not realize it was 190 days.
Folks were walking around the neighborhood, just having a random conversation. He just took a look. He goes, "You take a look. We're talking 37-40% appreciation over the last 3 years," and then everyone's having the conversation. But to Scott's point, what is the next move? Because the next move at that price point, the next move if you want to upgrade, you're probably at the 2+ price point.
No, I'd say you're
What, 1.5 minimum?
Yeah.
Okay, so 1.5, then you're putting 3 down, 300 for your 20%. You're at a loan at 1.2 at 6 points. That's a very different monthly payment than the folks got at 7, put 20% down at 560.
Yeah.
That's a 560 at 2.75 versus the 1.2 at 6. 560 at 2.75 versus 1.2 at 6. What's the delta there? 1.2 at 6 is what? I mean, I back in the napkin was that 12 a month?
Yeah, I would say 8 at minimum. Yeah.
12K a month versus 3K a month. That's the decision, right?
Like, how do you do that?
Right. So there's the debt inventory conversation, and that's very vulnerable right there. That's me talking debt inventory right there. That's the conversation at the dinner table right now in my house. Thoughts on? And I mean, you don't have to talk about that, Keith, but I see you doing math over there.
I'm looking at Old Trail just out of curiosity how Old Trail is doing on new on the lot when we take new construction out, which is a unique animal because there's enough new construction going on there versus resale. It's a little bit different. Glenmore, there's very percentage-wise less new construction versus existing unit. Yeah, I'll just repeat what I said on Monday. I get all that. But 107 homes at Lake Monticello sold. That means 107 people put the houses on the market and sold. So people are buying and selling. People are reaching out to Scott to go ahead and do pre-quals. People are reaching out to us to go ahead and try to sell and help us navigate this market. But that just blew my mind. I did not do the Glenmore numbers. I knew it was different. I didn't think it was in 100+ difference, almost 200 days difference. That's huge.
That's the byproduct of COVID. That's the byproduct of HOA neighborhood with all this crazy stuff happening around here.
How'd your dues gone up in that period of time? Pretty stable?
Dude, they're negligible.
Yeah.
I would say there's
Quarterly dues are like $300.
Yeah.
So I would say that when we talk about price point moves and where people are going, I would say if I were to just think about it from 10,000 feet away, I would say there's probably some people like with the growth at UVA and NGIC that are selling out of Dunlora and going from Dunlora to Glenmore. There's people there's probably some retirement and some cash out of Glenmore itself. That's probably with some out-of-staters, moving for jobs, people who are just downsizing in general. That's probably driving some of the activity there. And then maybe and then there's always your filter in from out of state that's coming in as well.
Augusta County, right, to talk about the other side of the mountain. Single family detached, no new construction. 2023, there was 195 homes sold. In 15, there was 48 sold, but in 18, there was 240. Jumped in 15, from 165 to 28. Old Trail, just looking at days on market. This last year to date, there was 6 days on market. In 2018 was 117. To your point, kind of the same.
I know they're very nice, but I cannot wrap
You're talking Old Trail.
My mind
around. I had the same difficulty.
The townhouse condo stuff out there. The cost for that to me is just like
the difficulty I had with Old Trail was the post stamp postage stamp lots.
We've sold
I
quite
mean,
a
you're
bit.
talking about
Yeah,
you're
so
touching
you're
your
talking
neighbors.
about that. I'm talking about even small. I'm talking about
With the attached property.
what the attached is going.
We
And that
sold-
stuff's expensive, the attached stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's new.
We've sold quite a bit over there, and everybody that's bought, they absolutely love it. I think it's a community
It's
feel.
the community thing, for
It's
sure.
a community feel. It's how Crozet feels. It is.
Y'all like people a lot more than I do.
Well, and I'm actually helping. We just got the phone call yesterday, and which you'll end up getting a phone call. I'm helping somebody want to sell one of their townhome units to do a single family detached out there
In Old Trail.
in Old Trail because they just absolutely love it out there. They're also huge golfers.
Single family detached at Old Trail, what is that, $1 million starting? Can you find something, maybe what, 900?
8,
8? Is that right, Keith?
Well, I was looking at souls. I didn't look at actives.
750. I bet 750.
For detached?
yeah.
That might be entry. That might be very, very small entry. Let's see.
Well, we'll
I'm
find
going
out.
MLS
We'll
right
find
now.
out here in a minute. No new construction in Old Trail. There's only one home for sale.
And what do we got? 9 and change, right?
825.
825? All right. We were in the middle. New construction's at 9.
New construction. Well, yeah. So that's an interesting stat. I looked at that. It's interesting.
I mean, the
that-
attached property, Scott, start at 5.5.
That's what that to me is like.
Bonkers, right?
Albemarle County, new construction. So this is something I've been tracking. New construction is picking back up in a big way. Albemarle County, because when I was looking at all these units, I was looking at new construction. Albemarle County is the only jurisdiction that jumped up. Last year, single-family detached new construction in Albemarle County was 705. Now it's 850. By the way, in 15 it was 512.
What do you make of that?
You're starting to see a lot of new. No, I think.
What?
I think you're starting to see new construction pick back up.
You really?
Yeah.
Come on, I haven't seen you make that comment in a while. Kelsey,
Yeah, no.
Kelsey wishing Scott a happy birthday on the feed right here. Go ahead. Scott.
Yeah, no, I'm starting to see it the last
Thank you,
couple of
Kelsey.
weeks. I'm starting to see the interest in new construction pick back up from a buyer's perspective. And the only reason I think it is there's so lack of inventory going on right now. That's the path that they're going. Now, these are buyers that necessarily don't have to sell.
Well, it's interesting. Our client, Dominion Custom Homes, has said the same thing. He said that the interest for custom construction and custom home building is picking up.
I will tell you in the last couple of weeks, I spent more conversations about new construction than I've had in a long time.
And it's not like it's not like the interest rate environment has dropped. I saw a headline today, and Scott could probably give us a clear understanding. 30's uptick, right?
So yeah, we're
We're at the highest in 2 months, right?
We are.
Yeah.
But that's still that's still declining from where we started the year. So I think that depending on what your wants, needs, and location are, your cost to build is getting in line with what existing looks like. So that's where it becomes more palatable. When we're talking about an existing home at 825 and a new construction home at 9 in Old Trail, like that there's some, that moves the needle on the build side.
For sure.
But especially when you get into, if you can live just outside of, in some of these locations, you live just outside the lake, you find something on 53, 618, like some piece of, if you can find some land there and get in at 2,000, 2,400 square feet, you're probably getting in at a price point that is comfortable for you compared to what you're looking at as far as existing property goes.
So that's interesting. So Albemarle, I don't disagree with that.
Thank you.
philosophy,
I agree 100% with that.
But it's interesting. Single family detached sold beginning of this year was 850. New construction was 530. Huge delta between the two.
Average though, right?
This is median.
Okay.
Median. So I think what's happening, the conversations that I'm having is I think that there's a
Well, the
spectrum.
buyer is basically doing the scales of justice. Am I going to weed through this limited inventory to purchase existing construction,
And
or
I'm
do
gonna-
I potentially pay a 7 to 10, 12% premium for new construction and get something brand new?
And I've got it. I've got it to do it.
Yeah.
Because I built all this equity up. I'm in this $300,000 worth of equity. I got a bunch of cash.
Yeah.
What the hell? I can wait. And that's what's happening. You're starting to see this whole new construction. It's interesting. I read an article yesterday, I had a meeting yesterday, talk about weird things that happen in the construction business. You know what the big hiccup right now in development and construction is? Transformers. You can't get enough electrical transformers to actually run the electric in subdivisions now. Which now everybody in the conversations I'm having with the development community is now it was lumber, right, at one point.
Oh, yeah.
All this different stuff. Fuel, they've kind of worked their way through, okay, everybody's accepted the fact that we're $3 for a gallon of diesel or whatever it is.
$3.29 for non-diesel. I don't know what diesel is. It's
Yeah, well,
$3.29
I'm
this
talking
morning.
about the diesel that goes in the
Okay,
track hose.
okay.
It's not taxed and all that stuff. But in any event, right now, they can't get transformers. And the problem is, it's not like the developer.
Have they been to Comic-Con? Sorry,
Does he know what that is?
I let it go on for too long.
I don't know if he knows what that is.
I know what
Judah
Comic-Con
knows.
is.
Judah knows what
I
it
know
is.
what Comic-Con. And I even know what Transformers is. Is little cars that turn into robots, right?
Gotcha.
There you go. Look at that. Smith knows.
Optimus Prime.
Optimus
can help.
Prime.
All right. Well, I'm just going to drink my coffee and let you
I
guys
play
play.
quite a bit with Optimus Prime with our 5-year-old. That's one of our 5-year-old's favorite toys.
But that may slow
Optimus Prime.
development down because
What? Optimus Prime and play
Yeah.
with him in the living room?
the
He
Transformers.
seems to be developing just fine.
Makes the smartest kids.
He's
are
very
big
smart.
Optimus
Keith.
Prime
What are you
fans.
saying about our son?
I am going to go text my
I
daughter,
just-
who actually cares about me.
Your daughter, I believe, is watching the program. When are they moving to Richmond? Soon. A deal, I think, financed by Scott?
We are working on it. We got a bunch of hoops to jump through, but we're working on it. August. We're going to close long before August, but they're physically moving in somewhere around August, somewhere like that.
That's fantastic.
I got to fly out there and help them pack and all that stuff.
I know Yona is very, very excited about that.
They are.
This question's come in, and guys, put the questions in the feed. We'll relay them live on air. It's from Clement Wilson. So, gentlemen, if the rate environment in the fourth quarter, as Scott has said, insiders predict will drop, and demand is going to be through the roof, how can this area sustain any more buyers if we don't have any homes to purchase?
So another way of asking that, if
Clement Wilson, that's a
if-
great question.
if the
Because you
im-
said Q4, insiders are saying is going to be bonanza.
So I think that is a national statistic. So when we look in areas of the West Coast that have slowed and actually have some significant decrease in value, that's where they start to turn back on. I think here we're going to be pinched in the same type of inventory challenges that we're continuing to see. However, there will be more people who through this year, and I say this not in a like happy let's go attitude, that are going to face some credit concerns through card accumulation and existing debt, that are going to be forced to take the cash out of those properties. Now, whether that's done through a
Refinance.
cash out refinance, or if they get too behind the ball to where a cash out refinance is no longer a viable option for them and their only option is going to be to sell and then find something to rent, that's going to put more properties on the market. So it's not a happy let's go kind of feel to it, but I think that's going to be a big part of what happens.
Green, Keith.
So to add a little spin to that question, so all that is going to happen with inventory turnaround that's the same as 15 and 16, because that's where we're going. We're going to 2015, 2016 volume, another number of units coming on the market and sold. And I just took a quick look. In 2015, interest rate was roughly 4%.
So to the point of what I was just saying, if you happen to be somebody or you happen to know someone, before they get into trouble,
Oh, yeah. We
even though they're biting the bullet, taking the higher rate, the 7%, the 6.5%, the 6% interest rate is still going to be lower than the 23% that's burning them up credit card wise. And if they act soon, they can address things and their cash flow is better, they're in a better place than if they don't act, they put their head in the sand and then they've run behind on everything and their only option is to sell to clear the debt.
31 days in the state of Virginia, they can start foreclosure. But you know what's even worse than that, Scott? The people that are renting, that are now having their interest, their credit cards go through. They don't have a safety net
Sure.
They don't
Largest
have-
credit card debt in American history.
Absolutely. I
Right
was just looking at it.
Approaching $1 trillion.
And the savings rate has absolutely
It's plummeted.
plummeted.
So these folks don't have that house save. The thing, God forbid that we were in that situation. I know I have enough equity. I pick up the phone, get me a HELOC at 6% is better than 30 or whatever the hell it is right now on it, and pay that off. And
We'll go through that
move on.
process for the viewers and listeners. How would a HELOC work? Line of credit against your home work. How long would it take? What would they need to do? How would they contact you? What would you look at? I mean, what's the loan to value?
You're going to have a lot of different options. You're going to have options that amortize over 20 years but repay in 10 with a balloon. You're going to have cash out refinance options where we can look at a resettlement mortgage. Different things are going to, it's going to be different strokes for different folks as far as what your equitable position is, how much money you actually need, we can have that conversation.
Do I need to refinance my primary loan, or can I just tack on to it a new
So if
HELOC?
you're with a HELOC, you can just you can tap into the equity without refinancing. the
That's
primary.
huge. That's a huge piece of information to get out, because a lot of people I'm talking to, because when they have this situation, I'd say reach out to Scott, then, well, I don't want to refinance my primary loan. It's at
Sure.
3%. So you leave that alone, which is great news. You go ahead and get whatever, 50 grand, 25, whatever you need to fix your credit card debt. That's a separate loan, separate deed of trust, correct?
Correct.
Got it.
There you go. That's good information right there.
That's freaking awesome.
A lot of people don't know that. And that may be keeping them from doing the refi business or the HELOC business with Scott.
It's what it more importantly does is it gets the credit card debt
It gives them a lifeline.
that's down to manageable. And then if they want to go ahead and buy, it's a different conversation with you, because it does not huge credit card debt impact their ability to buy.
Absolutely.
So now you've just took that off the table.
Yes.
We've just hacked that out. We just took that off the table and say, look,
Now, there's other solutions for that. If you're planning on selling and buying, I wouldn't have you go through the expense of taking out a cash out or a home equity line of credit. When we sell your current house, we'd hold that money in escrow
Pay it
for
off.
going into the future purchase, and I would have you pay those debts at the purchase through title. So I would collect all the statements, and then those existing debts would be paid at closing on the purchase. That shortens the paper trail that we have to go through, and at the same
like
time
this.
still allows you to clear that debt, and it's executed through title with the money held in escrow from your sale.
I like that.
Dang, that was a great explanation.
Damn, Scott, you're doing great, man. Must be because you're 44.
Yeah, well,
Or the coffee.
How many do you
This is
do like
coffee.
that, Scott?
a lot.
You do?
Yeah.
So, and I'll
That's
be
almost like a bridge loan.
That's something like I get asked a lot about that.
The bridge loan?
Yeah, people who don't want to can't have the property they want prevents them from making a contingent offer, meaning contingent on the sale of their home. So a bridge loan is essentially a HELOC, and it's just if you don't have to do it, don't do it. It's an added expense that I think that you can probably, with the right agent and the right attitude, get into the house that you're really looking to buy.
Yeah, I think in that scenario, you talked about the hack a couple weeks ago. You go and sell your current house.
Yeah.
And then you use the period of selling your current house to aggressively buy the next one.
Well, yeah.
And you do that without having the bridge loan and the expense of
Yeah.
getting the bridge loan. That's what you
100%,
said.
Yes, and I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Again, so this whole conversation we're having here, there's just not one solution to getting from point A to point B. We have multiple solutions, but I do want to follow up question for you, Scott. So talk to me about credit score. So let's assume I've got whatever high credit card debt is, right? I am making my payments, but interest rates are climbing. That doesn't impact my credit score as long as I'm making my payments, correct?
No.
Ooh.
So
I did not know this.
30% of your score is based on credit availability. So if all of your credit cards are maxed out, your score is probably, I don't want to go.
It's impacted,
It's
negatively
impacting. I don't want to give, 'cause
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you've got running lates, then everybody, it's going to go, well,
So that's
what the
even
difference is.
more
But
of
yes,
a
it's
reason.
significantly weighing on
That's
it.
even more of a reason to do this hack Well, you say, hey, Scott, I got $300,000 worth of equity or $100,000 worth of equity, $25,000 worth of credit card. Help me get help me get that away. So then that zeroes out your credit cards.
Yeah, depending on where you,
'Cause isn't
every
credit card-
situation is different. You know, we may look at you consolidating that debt prior to close, depending on how heavy it is and how much it's impacting you. If you've stayed on top of everything and it's not deeply impacting score, it's probably a marginal effect to rate.
Got it.
We could probably, pay some discount points in less cost than what you could go through the refinance process for. We could probably solve the problem in a more streamlined fashion than what it would take in time and cost to, especially when you calculate in what you're paying in interest payments on the debt in order before you refinance, and then the closing costs. Because on the HELOC, they're going to tell you that there's no, as long as you keep it open for 3 years, there's going to be no cost to it. Typically, that's like a selling point for them. But if you're not going to keep it for 3 years because you're going to sell the house after you've cleared some of this debt, you're going to end up eating it.
So what's happening here is people are watching that tube or flat screens. They don't make them out of tubes anymore. This flat screen over here.
That's like, when you talk to kids, like they don't do this for phones anymore, they do this.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't do this.
Yeah,
huh?
they don't do this. My kids do because they see me do it, but occasionally they'll go like this when they're talking about he's on the phone. And
I think they just didn't want to see.
Our 5-year-old saw a rotary phone and said, "What is that?" Legitimately had no idea what it was.
Remember when your kid used to have the toy that you pulled around with the rotary phone and a little feedy?
I mean, I grew up on a party line. You're from New York. You don't even know what that is.
I know what a party line is.
Yeah,
In the same apartment building, by the way. I exactly know what a party line is.
This comment comes in from
And
the
then
real
on
estate-
top of the party line, you would have, so-and-so, Mrs. So-and-so in the upper level screaming out the window. down to
Get off the phone!
That's exactly right. Get off the phone.
This comment comes in from Todd Raff, the owner of Blue Toad Hard Cider
Blue
and a
Toad.
real estate investor himself. He says another factor out there for small business owners with lines of credit to run their business. Flexing in and out. Prime plus one is like 9.25% right now, and that stings.
So when we talk about HELOCs, that you're in that same rate environment, if not a little bit worse.
9.25?
Yeah, 10%.
I have not so good news for Nelson County and Todd. When you take out Wintergreen, no new construction, you're the only jurisdiction that actually had a drop year over year. You're at 319 is the median sales price, single family detached. This time last year at 425. So you've got a drop. That was the only one that had a drop. But if you would have bought in 2015, you were buying at 147, and you're now at 319. So Nelson County is the only jurisdiction that did not climb in price value.
And you got Buckingham in there too?
I did not get to Buckingham.
Okay, I would imagine Buckingham's in that point. Jesse Rutherford watching the
Hey,
program
Jesse,
right now.
sorry about that
Yeah.
stat, Jesse. But,
Supervisor Nelson
but they
County.
got great internet.
I would imagine Buckingham is in that boat as well.
Well, Buckingham is split up in so many MLSs, it's really difficult.
Yeah, I mean, so the other side of the Scottsville Bridge, appealing to live in. The backside of the National Forest,
It's
probably not
it's
so
very
much.
difficult to.
I don't know. I'm not going to throw shade, but I don't know why you would
That's
want to
not
live
shade.
there. No,
I mean,
I agree.
It's legitimate.
It's in the middle of
That's
nowhere.
your homesteader. It's a different animal. It's a different.
You're in the
animal.
middle, literally, of nowhere. Here's an interesting question. I was thinking about this one myself. Todd, I'll get to your comments next. Jackson Holland says this: Scott, now that it seems like the Fed is going to stall with raising rates for a while, how quickly till rates start dropping on 30-year fixed products?
So I think the pause is already priced in.
I would agree with that.
The next move will be the two things. I think that we could possibly see a July, potentially even a June increase. I don't think so in June. I think that's kind of the risk base is around 30% right now. July, I think we could see. It's depending on what CPI comes across in the next few months. What this inflation print does, do we see, we're in such a tight labor market that every jobs report seems to matter when it comes to the 10-year. but I think August is the soonest that you would see them cut, and I think it's probably more like September. But again, I think everything happened. It takes longer for everything to happen than we like to think that it takes to happen. So if we get good inflation print and bad things happening in the economy between now and August, we could see a cut in August, but that would be as soon as that it would happen, and the pause is already priced in.
Good answer. Keith?
I agree.
Good question, Jackson.
I agree. The pause is already, well, the pause is priced into the 30. I think you're not going to see any adjustments probably into the beginning of the fourth quarter. I would think. I mean, you're the expert, but I sure as heck will do it. I want to give some good news about Wintergreen. Here's the thing about Wintergreen, is I actually think you have things to buy.
Well, he literally just put on the feed, he goes, there is a lot of
Yeah.
older fixer-uppers going on the market now in Nelson.
That's exactly right. So I'm trying to look at specifically on it, but that's exactly right. So in Greene County right now, Nelson County right now, no new construction. I take out Wintergreen. He's 100% right. There's 26 units to buy. There's the cheapest one is down to 150. To his point that it needs a little bit of love, and it's actually pretty close to Charlottesville. So there is this whole ability to buy there. So that's the flip side to this, right? The flip side to Nelson County's year over year dropping a little bit. This means, look, there's an opportunity to go ahead and buy there. He's 100%. Was that Todd? Yeah, he's 100%.
Todd, you're welcome on the show anytime you want, man. We would love to have you absolutely on this program.
Got it. We got to tell phishing stories, lies.
Small business ownership.
Lies, stories.
Real estate investment. How Blue Toad Cider came
I
to
just
life.
I want to talk about, because I've been wanting to go
And he'll bring
striper
cider.
fishing at Smith Mountain Lake forever.
He's got an investment property there.
Yeah, but he boats some pretty gorgeous striper. Have you ever been striper fishing in Smith Mountain? Yeah.
Someone
love
just
to
passed away at Smith Mountain Lake. I saw in the news.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Same. I saw that in the news. More questions coming in. This question is coming in from, is it Lavin? Grayson Lavin? Am I saying your last name right? This is a unique spelling here. Well, if that does happen, as Keith and Scott has addressed, that means we will have more buying power at the end of the year. So maybe more folks are just waiting on the sidelines till that buying power becomes a reality for all of us.
And all of us agree with that. The question is, what will it do to inventory? That's the question, right? So if we're staying at 2015 and 16 inventories and we're not climbing out of that,
It's just going to make things more expensive.
It's
If
gonna
it
make
adds
it
more
more
buyers and the
expensive.
inventory doesn't get deeper, it's just going to make things more expensive.
well, what's going to happen? The market's going to change again.
Yeah.
And guess what? It's been going on for how many years we've been doing this? The market changes all the time. Talk about history and stuff.
I mean, you're basically saying fourth quarter is going to be a bonanza.
I remember-
And into Q1 of next year could be a bonanza.
I don't think it will.
I think bonanza is a big word.
More
And
buyers.
I think
no
that-
inventory, though.
I think that.
I think there's more chasing of
I
tails.
think regionally, I think there will be pockets
Yeah.
that will see improvement, and there will be the same areas that are very sought after will continue to be to see appreciation. And a lot of people say, well, how much can they can appreciate until somebody says, you know what, I'm not paying for that anymore.
I'll send
And
you my.
That's where
I'll send you my 22-year spreadsheet. It's 5.5%, all the jurisdictions, and that counts the time of great unpleasantness. So over 22 years, we're averaging roughly 5.5%. So somewhere between 3 to 6% is the average appreciation year over year. Then you get, what we just came off of. Well, and this is the reason why I keep on going back to 15 and 16, which was I feel, more of a normal market. We just came through like the 3% thing, right? Don't get used to this double digit appreciation year over year. That's not normal. What normal is somewhere between 3 and 6%.
The Marine Corps teaches you this little
They actually
ditty
taught you
when
something?
yeah
Really?
when you're going through boot camp. It's as if you were actually like going through something. It's called "I'm up, you see me, I'm down" for when people are shooting at you, and that's kind of like what the market does essentially.
Does that usually, that involved grunting, if I remember?
Well,
One grunt was stand, two
Yeah,
grunts was sit down. Yeah.
Multiple people inviting you to Smith Mountain Lake on a boat.
I'm in. I'll bring my
Keith
boat.
Smith.
I'll bring my
Multiple
boat.
people on the feed right now.
I
You
want-
have
I
a
want-
boat.
I do, yeah.
When's the last time that boat's been in the water?
It rained on it the other day.
Is the boat in your driveway?
It rained on it the other day.
Okay.
Yep, boat's in the driveway.
All right.
Boat's in the driveway. It's all serviced, ready to go. Yeah, hasn't been in the water in 2 years.
Does this
I know,
question-
Todd, that is very sacrilegious, and I apologize.
Brian says, does he expect the refinance business to uptick at the end of the year?
That's a great question.
Yes.
Yeah, they're going to get lower, I think. And Todd says
And then
you
what do
guys
you
are
think? What do you think the purchasing? Are you going to see like a ratio by the end of the year? You're going to be doing a little bit more refi than purchases, in volume wise.
I don't know about that.
Well,
I'm very purchase driven as far as how I build my business and my focus towards
Good, that's
attention
what I
on my
wanted to hear.
agents. But I think that you'll see an increase. There'll certainly be the people who purchased last December at 7.25 might go.
it's time to go down to 5.
What can we do here?
Well, that's a strategy too. I mean, that's people are doing that strategy. I
Yeah.
think that's why nobody worried. This whole fear of 6% to 7% was going to stop the market. I don't think they calculated in that people are a little bit smarter than that and say, look, I'm still going to do this and refi when it gets down. It's still cheaper to do that than pay the man rent.
Sure, but I mean, the other thing that's really the fact that people are going to keep on peopling, and
Keep on making little people, and
They,
yep,
they got
there you go.
they got stuff that is going to continue to drive activity. If they can afford to do it, they're going to make the decision.
Keith, you're getting zinged here with the yard art and the land yacht
That's it.
that you have in your driveway.
That's not a zing. That is absolute
Yard
truth.
art and a land yacht Keith Smith does have.
But it's washed, it's cleaned, it's serviced, it's ready to go. It just hasn't seen the water yet.
Give the viewers and listeners a sneak peek into your next 2 weeks. He's going to be on hiatus for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm heading up to New York tomorrow to ride an 85-mile bike ride.
So Quentin Beckham and Lee Elberson on Friday on Real Talk.
Monday will be Nikki and a couple of guests. Wednesday, you've got it. I think Quentin's covering the Fridays I'm gone, and
Neil Williamson in the mix as well.
Neil's in the mix, yeah. So any fellow New Yorkers that are watching, just to put perspective what this race that I'm going to do on Sunday, they shut the George Washington Bridge down, and
Whoa.
6,000 cyclists are on it. That's the busiest bridge in the world, is what they say. But New Yorkers tend to stretch things a little bit. But they're gonna. If you ever driven across the George Washington Bridge, just imagine that being shut down, and 6,000 people are going to be in.
How long's the race?
It's 85 miles. It'll take me, if I'm lucky, about six and a half hours.
Okay. There you go. You going up there by yourself?
I'm going up by myself, doing a little grandbaby watching on Friday and Saturday, and I bought an extra roll of duct tape, so we'll duct tape them together, and it's a lot
All
of
right,
fun to
all
watch
right.
them jump around.
Scotty
I'm
Moe.
only kidding.
Scotty Moe, how will you celebrate 44?
I'm dinner with the kids and the fam tonight, and I play a little bit of golf over the next couple of days. There's a spring handicap in Culpeper that I'll be playing Saturday and Sunday. I'll be playing at Glenmore tomorrow.
Very nice. Keep it in the short grass.
Just work. Helping the team, helping people buy homes. I'm going to coach an agent today at lunch and kind of just do the things.
I have to give you a shout out. Everybody on the Keith Smith, Real Talk with Keith Smith Partners tab, you pull it down, you call him, you'll get a phone call. But dude, I call you at obscene hours, and he picks up the phone and answers. So it's a hat off to you. On
That's what you want to get
Well,
out there.
I mean,
Scott?
I called you this morning, which I did not realize it was your birthday, probably in the middle of your birthday celebration with your kids. So thank you for picking it up.
Yeah, no problem. So I talked to a brand new borrower last night. We got a pre-approval, went out this morning for him, and that was and 3 people after 5 o'clock last night. And the key, what I like to convey is if you need something and have a genuine, like, let's talk through this, figure this out, like, how does this work? Dude, I want to help you. How much you're not taking that much away from me for me to have a quick phone call. Now, do you want numbers on 5 different properties for coming up into the weekend? I'm probably not going to do that with you at 8 p.m. But at the same time, text me the addresses and you'll have it in your email by the morning.
I love it. He contacts people. He will get in touch with you. Scott Morris, guys, number 2 in production at Ross Mortgage.
That's something else, man.
Thanks, man.
This is a nationwide company.
Last year, and what was crazy about this last year, and I hate to dwell on, but going through, so in hindsight, last year was kind of crazy. So we talked about this previously on the show. I went through some cancer treatments, and by that I mean for 5 months I went through chemo and chemo radiation, and I went to Northern Virginia every day. I wake up at 4 a.m., drive up, and have radiation treatment by 6 or 7 a.m., and I was back in Culpeper by 9 or in Charlottesville. I shot the show on days that I drove all the way up, and I would drive
On
back.
meds.
Yeah, on bad, just, kind of really going through it. And and that's not a testament to me. That was a testament to the people I put around me that made me successful. And I thank every single one of you for helping me grow and the people inside of my team grow to where we are today.
Love it. Good
that.
things happen to good people, and he works his ass off. I mean, good things happen to good people who work their ass off, and that's what he does and the team does. Judah Wickower does the same. He's the director of the show. Keith Smith on hiatus for 2 weeks. He's back in June on the I Love Seville Network. You will be missed.
June 5th, I'm coming back.
You're back June 5th. Enjoy your time with your family.
I am.
The I Love Seville show is up in approximately an hour with Justin Ritter, who's an attorney that operates in the entrepreneurial space and the business space. So you're really going to get the lowdown on what's going on in the small business ecosystem here in Central Virginia from him. Thank you kindly for joining us on a show today presented by Ross Mortgage. We'll see you in an hour. Take care. Hold on, boys. Scott, excellent work.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.